Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey as he takes a look at some of the biggest shows on the WWE Network.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Joey Harris, and we are broadcasting from makeshift studios in the shadow of South Central Virginia. Follow the show on Twitter and Blue Sky at Cup of Joe Pod. Email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. Support the show at paypal.me/cupofjoepod. You can also support me. I am on Cash App and Venmo at The Joey Harris. And of course, folks, patreon.com/babykangaroo media for bonus episodes of the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show, the Joey Harris Super Show, the Green Room, the Book Club, Baristas, and so much more. Just $5 a month for hours of extra content. And folks, we are back. Enjoyed the Royal Rumble last night as I record this. Thought it was a great show. Had a really good time. As today we go back 30 years as we look at Hardcore Heaven 1995 from ECW. Hardcore Heaven 1995 took place July 1st, 1995 from the ECW Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. There were 1,150 in attendance. We start out with our intro. The Dudley brothers, Snot and Dudley, with Big Dick Dudley versus the Pitbulls with Stevie Richards, Raven, and Beulah. Snot and Pitbull 1 start. Pitbull 1 beat Snot down in the corner. Pitbull 1 with a clothesline. Pitbull 2 tagged in. He hits a power slam. He follows it up with a drop kick. Pitbull 1 tagged back in. He hits a reverse thrust kick. He continues the beatdown. Dudley tagged in. He trades blows with Pitbull 2. Snot tagged back in. Pitbull 2 throws him out. Pitbull's attack Snot with a chair. He gets thrown back in, and Pitbull 1 hits a slingshot shoulder block. Richards is seen outside kissing Francine, who is seated at ringside. Beulah doesn't like it and attacks Francine. Raven grabs Richards and Beulah by the hair and leaves. The Pitbulls hit the super bomb on Snot and yell for Raven to come back. Dudley comes in and hits Pitbull 2 from behind and puts Snot on top, and the Dudley brothers win. Joey Styles interviews the Pitbulls. They are pissed at Richards and Raven. They say they have had enough and there is going to be a change. Chad Allen and the Broad Street Bully versus Donnie Allen and Dino Sendoff. Austin and Allen start. Austin with a side headlock. He hits a backdrop. Back and forth. Bully tagged in. The crowd chants something untoward at the participants in the ring. 911 comes out with Paul E. He chokeslams everyone. A Paul E. chant goes out. They then chant for more chokeslams. 911 obliges. Bill Alphonso is shown looking on from the curtain. Big Mally versus Hack Myers. Myers gets a big ovation when introduced. He goes after Mally. Mally challenges Myers to slam him. The crowd gets on Mally. It takes a while for them to start. Myers tries to slam Mally, and Mally unloads on Myers. Myers comes back with shots to knock Mally down. Mally with a corner splash, hits another one and then a third. The crowd cheers Mally again. Myers falls to the ground. Mally with another splash. He power slams Myers. Another splash by Mally. He misses an elbow drop and Myers gets the quick pin. Mally hits another splash on Myers. Officials try to stop Mally, but he splashes Myers again. Too Cold Scorpio versus Taz with Paul E. Slow to start as a Taz chant goes out. They shove each other, back and forth. Scorpio rolls out to regroup. They get a series of reversals. Scorpio with a rear chin lock. Taz with a wrist lock. Taz with a side headlock. Scorpio with a side suplex, but Taz hangs on to the headlock. Taz with a belly-to-belly suplex, and Scorpio rolls out again. They each bridge out of an attempt to get the other down. Scorpio with a powerbomb. He follows it up with a double underhook suplex. He hits a throat thrust. He then hits a back flip splash, but doesn't cover. He goes up top, but Taz gets his knees up on the splash. Scorpio with a slam to Taz. Taz comes back with a Tazplex. Scorpio with a kick to Taz's head and a tombstone piledriver, and the tumbleweed to Taz. Taz is up. He hits another Tazplex and pins Scorpio, but Scorpio has his foot on the ropes. Bill Alphonso comes out and says the match needs to be restarted. He says if any wrestler touches him, he will shut down ECW. Paulie says he's not a wrestler, and he's going to kick Alfonso's ass. Scorpio attacks Taz with a chair and then leg drops Taz with the chair. Alphonso then counts the pin of Scorpio over Taz. Joey Styles is in the ring. He talks about the ECW hotline until he gets interrupted by Shane Douglas. He says he's been negotiating with the WWF. The crowd chants, "Shane is dead and we want Flair." Douglas says that if Joey Styles is a journalist, he needs to get his facts straight. He starts to talk about how he has sacrificed everything for ECW. The crowd just woos the whole time. He talks about his history with Cactus Jack. He says Ric Flair isn't coming anywhere near Philadelphia. He says he and Cactus Jack have been best friends for 12 years. The crowd chants something derogatory towards him. He says he and Cactus Jack remain best friends regardless of what the rest of ECW says about them. He then says that he is gone from ECW. He would be back though. Woman comes out and says Douglas wants to stay in ECW and be on top with her and Sandman. Douglas puts down Woman, who responds by hitting Douglas. She goes to do it again, and he stops her, only to get hit from behind by the Sandman. Cactus Jack comes out and saves Douglas. ECW World Tag Team Championship match. Raven and Stevie Richards with Beulah versus Tommy Dreamer and Luna Vachon. Raven attacks Dreamer and Luna right away. Dreamer run into the ring post. Richards suplexes Vachon. Raven attacks Dreamer with a chair. Dreamer DDTs Raven on the floor. Vachon with a testicular claw on Richards and an arm drag. She continues the attack. Dreamer with a fallaway slam on Richards. Vachon follows it up with a swinging neck breaker. Dreamer goes and fights Raven on the outside. Vachon gets a 2 count on Richards. Dreamer attacks Raven with a newspaper box and a TV antenna. Vachon keeps getting 1 counts. She and Dreamer attack Richards with an ironing board. Raven and Richards come back and attack Vachon with a chair. Back and forth. It's fast and furious mayhem. Raven slams the injured hand on a guardrail. Raven and Richards go after Vachon. Double suplex and DDT to Vachon. Richards gets a 2 count. Raven tied up in the ropes. Dreamer hits him with a chair. Vachon hits a float over superplex to cover Richards, but Beulah throws powder at Vachon and Richards gets the pin. Ty Gordon is in the ring and calls out Bill Alphonso. Alphonso comes out and Gordon berates him. He tells him he's going to referee the Taipei death match. Axel versus Ian Rotten. Broken glass is attached to the taped fists. Both brothers come out looking determined. The bell rings. They take swings at each other. Axel gets a jab in and Ian goes down. Alphonso checks on Ian's eye. He says that since the vision is impaired, he is stopping the match. The crowd is livid. The Gangstas and the Public Enemy come out fighting in the aisle. Security and the police separate them. The crowd chants, "Let them go." Gordon gets in the ring and says since Alphonso is gone, the match continues. Ian attacks Axel. He runs his arm over Axel's head. Axel can barely stand. Ian continues the assault. Axel comes back and attacks Ian. An Axel chant goes out. Ian falls out of the ring. Axel wraps Ian's hand around the barricade and attacks the arm. They fight back into the ring. Axel gets a 2 count. Axel grinds the glass into Ian's forehead. Ian rakes the glass into Axel's forehead. This is a gory match. Ian with a DDT. Ian pours a bag of thumbtacks into the ring. Axel backdrops Ian into the tacks and splashes Ian to get the pin. They cut to Tommy Dreamer and Luna Vachon attacking Raven and Stevie Richards in the ring. Raven punches Dreamer and hits Vachon with one of the tag belts. The Pitbulls come out. Richards calls for the super bomb on Vachon. The Pitbulls don't want to do it. Raven hits Pitbull 2 with a chair and the Pitbulls attack Raven and Richards. Raven gets suplexed and takes off. The Pitbulls go to superbomb Richards. The Dudleys come in and attack the Pitbulls. Dreamer, Raven, Richards, and Vachon start to brawl again. They fight out into the crowd. Raven takes off. Dreamer grabs him and they start to fight towards the back. They all fight near the broadcast booth and the heels finally take off. ECW World Heavyweight Championship match. The Sandman with Woman versus Cactus Jack. Sandman and Woman out first and do their entrance. Jack comes out with barbed wire wrapped around his wrist and arm. The belt is presented. The bell rings. Woman throws a drink in Jack's eyes, allowing Sandman to hit Jack with the cane. He canes Jack repeatedly. Jack is thrown outside and Sandman hits a tope on Jack. He continues to cane Jack down to the floor. Jack gets back in. They trade blows and Jack gets a DDT on Sandman and then canes him. It goes back outside where Jack continues to cane Sandman. Jack goes to hit Sandman with the barbed wire arm, but Sandman blocks it with a chair and hits Jack. Woman then hits Jack with her cane. Sandman scoop slams Jack and hits a slingshot leg drop on Jack. He then slams Jack on a chair and hits a flying leg drop. Woman gets a strand of barbed wire from the back. Sandman with a pile driver to Jack on the chair. Sandman wraps barbed wire around his body. He runs into Jack. Sandman with a scoop slam and a splash on Jack. Jack backdrops Sandman to the outside. Jack grabs a chair and holds it up to drop on the Sandman from the apron. Jack attacks Sandman on the outside. He throws Sandman back in and pulls Sandman's shirt up over his head, puts a chair over Sandman, and hits a leg drop. He gets a 2 count. They trade blows. Jack with another 2 count. Jack checking Sandman with the barbed wire. Woman comes in and canes Jack, who responds by shoving Woman down to the crowd's delight. Sandman attacks Jack, but the referee also goes down. Everybody is down. Shane Douglas comes in and attacks the referee. He then hits a pile driver to Sandman. He hits Jack with the cane. He tells Sandman to keep your best friends close and your enemies right by your side. Douglas puts Sandman on Jack and Sandman gets the pin. Ty Gordon tells the referee to reverse the decision. Douglas gets in his face and tells Gordon to get on his knees and asks Douglas to stay in ECW. Gordon tells him he is fired. Douglas hits Gordon. Douglas attacks Gordon. Wrestlers and officials try to come out and save Gordon. 911 comes out and chokeslams Douglas. The Public Enemy, Rocco Rock and Johnny Grunge versus the Gangstas, New Jack and Mustafa. Grunge tells the crowd if they don't like the sight of blood, guts, and broken bones to leave. The crowd hates the Gangstas when they come out. The team start to brawl on the outside. New Jack attacks Grunge with a crutch. Grunge attacks New Jack with a chair. Mustafa and Rock fight over near the broadcast position. Grunge attacks New Jack with an umbrella in the ring. Mustafa is driven through a table when Jack hits the drive-by. Mustafa suplexes Rock through a table. New Jack hits Grunge with a billy club. He guillotines Grunge on the top rope. The action is hot and heavy. They all hit each other with whatever items they can get. Grunge leg drops New Jack through a table. They all battle back to the ring. They hit each other with whatever they can get their hands on. They fight in and out of the ring. New Jack with a shoulder block to Rock from the apron to the floor. Rock breaks up a pin attempt on Grunge. Grunge beats the Gangstas with a croquet mallet. Rock moonsaults New Jack through a table. Mustafa breaks up the pin. The Gangstas with a double back elbow. Rock hits Mustafa with the mallet from the top rope to get the pin. The Gangstas attack the Public Enemy after the bell and they fight towards the back. Public Enemy gets away and celebrates with the crowd. They invite some fans into the ring with them. They then sign off from Philly. Final thoughts. This was just another average show with the highlight being the temporary absence of Shane Douglas from ECW. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at DJoeyHarris. If you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred podcast app. I would really appreciate it. We can also be found on Spotify and YouTube. Just search for The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show and don't forget to hit subscribe. Thank you for joining me. This is Joey saying so long from the heart of Virginia.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.